So I thought we'll just go through the prayers and meditations, how it starts. So this is something about prayers and meditations. There are some of the prayers which are translated by Sri Aurobindo himself. And these are the ones which are marked with an asterisk in this volume, the volume that I have shared with all of you, the PDF of prayers and meditations. So these are marked with an asterisk which have been translated by Sri Aurobindo himself. And then this is really beautiful short little paragraph here by the mother herself. Mother says, some give their soul to the divine, some their life, some offer their work, some their money. A few consecrate all of themselves and all they have, soul, life, work, wealth. These are the true children of God. Others give nothing. These, whatever their position, power, and riches, are for the divine purpose, valueless ciphers. This book is meant for those who aspire for an utter consecration to the divine. And I also feel that this is the best possible use of a human birth. If we can slowly, at whatever age we may wake up, that I just have to live for the divine, work for the divine, breathe for the divine. And slowly it also leads to a lot of detachment in life, I think. And whenever we are doing detached work, living a life in a detached manner, there is a kind of a lasting happiness that stays within. And all of us deserve to have that happiness. So I think it's not an option for us. It's more like this is the best possible use of a human birth. Yeah, and let's start with the first prayer. So the first prayer was what I gave all of us this time. We have discussed it earlier also, but again, these words are so nice that we can go over them again and again, and that's okay too. It always gives us something valuable. So let us go over this prayer, and whoever wants to, so we'll share one by one. I think only Ashpriya is joining for the first time. So we'll share one by one our reflections, and whoever, there's also another person, Anita ji, who would be joining us for the first time. I think maybe she may not join today. I'm not sure. So we'll go over the prayer once. One may read the prayer once, and then we can share our personal reflections, insights, whatever comes one by one. Yeah. So whoever feels ready can go first. And welcome to everyone to the next batch of prayers and meditations. Yes, please.
So I'll read if I'm audible. Am I audible properly?
Yes, Ashpriya, please go ahead. Yeah.
Although my whole being is in theory consecrated to thee, O Sublime Master, who art the life, the light, and the love in all things, I still find it hard to carry out this consecration in detail. It has taken me several weeks to learn that the reason for this written meditation, its justification, lies in the very fact of addressing it daily to thee. In this way, I shall put into material shape each day a little of the conversation I have so often with thee. I shall make my confession to thee as well as it may be, not because I think I can tell thee anything, for thou art thyself everything, but our artificial and exterior way of seeing and understanding is, if it may be so said, foreign to thee, opposed to thy nature. Still, by turning towards thee, by immersing myself in thy light at the moment when I consider these things, little by little I shall see them more like what they really are, until the day when you have made myself one in identity with thee. I shall no more have anything to say to thee, for then I shall be thou. This is the goal that I will reach. Towards this victory, all my efforts will tend more and more. I aspire for the day when I no longer say I, for I shall be thou. How many times a day still I act without my action being consecrated to thee? I at once become aware of it by an indefinable uneasiness, which is translated in the sensibility of my body by a pang in my heart, and then make my action objective to myself, and it seems to me ridiculous, childish, or blameworthy. I deplore it. For a moment I am sad until I dive into thee, and these losing myself with a child's confidence, await from thee the inspiration and strength needed to set right the error in me and around me. Two things that are one, for I have now a constant and precise perception of the universal unity, determining an absolute interdependence of all actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashpriya. Yeah, so anyone who wants to share reflections, contemplations first, please unmute and go ahead.
Take care. I will.
Yes, yes, please. Yeah.
So I think a lot of times this happens, like especially when otherwise you're having a lot of fun, suddenly you feel that oh, something is empty within. There's a kind of whatever you call it inside
Ashpriya,
you.
your voice is not very clear now. It was clear earlier, but
Earlier, okay. Is
now
it clear now?
now it's good. Now it's good. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So I'm saying a lot of times it so happens that we are, probably I'm having a lot of fun, or I'm otherwise having a happy conversation. Then suddenly there's an emptiness which I feel within, or there's a kind of uneasiness that I feel within, and then then you suddenly realize, oh, I have probably not felt very connected throughout this conversation, and it particularly happens when you know I mean, I'm not focusing on anything. I'm just going, with the conversation or with that whole thing that is happening. Um, Especially when we otherwise feel, we're having a lot of fun. I think this happens, a lot of times. I think that's what I felt when we were reading this.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm sure all of us can resonate with that. Yeah, that's very true. Yes. And I think we must pay attention to this feeling of emptiness. I think it's a call towards something uh,
Yeah.
which is maybe we are ignoring. Yes, yes. Yeah, beautiful. Yes. Yes. Anyone who wants to share next? Yes,
Yeah,
Chitraji.
yeah, I'll go. Yeah, this is the prayer we already discussed, I think. Yeah. Um, yeah.
Twice. This
Huh?
is our third time, but it cannot be enough.
Yeah. But even now it looks new to
Yeah,
me.
no,
Actually.
never enough.
Yeah. Although my whole being is in theory consecrated to thee, O Sublime Master, who are the life, the light, and the love in all things, I still find it hard to carry out this consecration in detail. Yeah, this is the exact picture of mine, I can say, actually. Yeah, in theory, the consecration is there, but in practice, how far I can adopt that consecration. But now I can say very assuredly, I can see which are the qualities or which are the parts preventing me to do that total consecration. Consecration is a detailed surrender. Even Josna ji shared in one of the session. That word consecration itself has a flame, it seems. Mother told that. She shared in the group Friday study circle. So that beauty it contains consecration. But I feel some of the qualities like fear, for me, that fear, the mechanical, repetitive thoughts, those things are preventing me to do the full consecration. That I can find out now at least. And again, I surrender those qualities also. So this is what, and I skip all these lines. I'm going to the next paragraph actually. How many times a day still I act without my action being consecrated to thee? Yes, this is also true, very much true. Because whenever those things comes, I mean, any fear or even I can say any crisis when I face, for some time I will forget definitely that consecration. And in retrospective, it will come, oh, something in me will point out definitely. But yeah, that forgetting is still there. It is beautifully explained, my mother. I at once become aware of it by an indefinable uneasiness. This is very true, which is translated in the sensibility of my body by a pang in my heart. Yes, this I always feel actually whenever I fail to consecrate any action. I will feel that. I then make my action objective to myself, and it seems to me ridiculous, childish, or blameworthy. No other words. I mean, we need not search any other words. This itself explain our failure of consecration, how it is ridiculous, childish, blameworthy. So I deplore it for a moment. I am sad until I dive into thee, and there losing myself with a child's confidence. Yeah, this is giving us hope. Child's confidence, await from thee the inspiration and strength needed to set right the error in me and around me. Yeah, this is the constant prayer again and again. So remind myself, mother, that also I have to ask mother only to consecrate also. Yeah, this is very beautiful. And again, if I come to those lines in the first paragraph, mother, I think mother is telling about that identification with the divine, no, that divine will. Yeah, only after the consecration, I think that stage will come, no? Actually, total identification with the divine will. Yes, that is what I felt. And in Synthesis of Yoga, also a beautiful chapter is there about self consecration. I will read those lines in the end of the session. Yeah, thank you. This is my take.
Okay, Chitraji, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Chitradi covered the
Yeah.
salient features,
Yeah.
but for me, today's take home with the third reading or the fourth reading, I think third or fourth, is maybe somewhere we have to learn to take a written meditation every day, but from whatever we read or whatever are our events and our manner of consecration daily. Probably that would increase our self-giving, leading to a more intense form of giving, stepping back and surrender, which would, like Mother says, it has taken me several weeks to learn that the reason for this written meditation, its justification lies in the very fact of addressing it daily to thee. And I think my take home today is very, very clear that we on a daily basis don't address what we did in surrender and what we didn't do in total surrender. We don't reminisce or go through it at the end of the day. Sometimes we do, but sometimes we slip up. But I think maybe if we try to make it as a practice, like Mother says, maybe, just maybe, we'll be better on the path. So that's my take home today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jyotsna ji. Yes. Yes,
Very beautiful, Jyotsna ji. Yeah, I mean, I like that point. Yeah,
Yeah, it is very
yeah,
beautiful.
very
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I wanted to reflect on the last paragraph, Monica. If you can come to the last paragraph. Yeah. So, I'll start reading from here. How many times a day still I act without my action being consecrated to thee? I at once become aware of it by indefinable uneasiness, which is translated in the sensibility of my body by a pang in my heart. So yeah, this I think we all can relate. Yeah, I personally feel this. Like you understand it as soon as ki okay, you were not aware, or you were not mindful. You do get that feeling, and I then make my action objective to myself, and it seems to me ridiculous, childish, or blameworthy. I deplore it for a moment. I'm sad until I dive into thee, and there losing myself with a child's confidence, await for thee the inspiration and strength needed to set right the error in me and around me. So these two things, yeah, this stayed with me now, because yes, it happens, like when I totally just lose myself with a child's confidence and wait for the divine's inspiration, and that is to set right the error in me and around me, two things that are one. For I have now a constant and precise perception of the universal unity, determining an absolute interdependence of all action. So this is where I am getting clarity these days, like these two things that are one, and my perception of universal unity, where I understand the interdependence of all actions. So this really made an impact on me. It is so beautiful. Yeah, very nice. And actually, I wanted to ask one more thing in the third above. Actually, I needed some clarity here, where just yeah. So it's I shall make my confession to thee as well as it may be, not because I think I can tell thee anything, for thou art thyself everything, but our artificial and exterior way of seeing and understanding is, if it may be said, so foreign to thee, opposed to thy nature. So this actually I just felt that uh, I don't know. I mean, however we are, but how is it, exterior, or I mean, the divine would know anyway, right? So that's what made me little confused.
okay. Sure, Shweta. We'll
Yeah.
come to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, great. So anyone who wants to share next, I think Rashmi ji. Yeah, Rashmi ji, would you like to go next?
Namaste, Dr. Monica and others. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Let me listen to all of you today. I'll come back
All
later.
right. All right. Okay. Okay. Great. So maybe I'll share a few things, my own reflections on this, and let us go over the prayer once more, a little bit more in detail again. And I think, as you were sharing, it's never enough. The words are so profound that no matter how many thousand of times we may go, I think every time there is something or the other which resonates, maybe Earlier it was just on surface, and then it comes out more deeply. We are able to catch some other meaning, some insight comes. So these words are timeless words, they may be written in context of what mother was going through or aspiring for in that phase, but these are timeless words, they always will make sense. That's the beauty of such words. So although my whole being is in theory consecrated to thee. Now, first of all, this makes me wonder that for mother, it is true. But for us, for me, is that a truth? Have I ever offered myself wholly to the divine, even in theory? Because it may be a different thing when I go through texts and literature, it feels that I have, but have I actually consciously ever given myself, my life to the divine? Those of us who are willing, for that, and just not keeping it as an intellectual something that yes, I know everything is for the divine. It's not like that. I think it's something moment by moment, because we keep on taking ourselves back from the divine again and again for our egoistic demands and reasons. I think this is something which has to be done throughout our life. One can never say that now I am consecrated, because some or the other attachment will come, some or the other egoistic demand will come, and I will realize that I'm far away from what I thought I was. And mother also shares that always keep away from being very self-satisfied with yourself, that yes, you have reached at a very good place, because that is something which kills us. It's almost like it stagnates us. And when mother talks about being a child on this path, a child is forever young. A child is forever learning. He's full of wonder, full of awe, forever learning and growing and progressing. So I think for me it becomes then necessary that uh, have I given myself really again and again? Do I really give myself to the divine? What are my actions saying? Okay, in theory I may have given, but what are the 24/7 actions that I am doing? Are they is it a life lived for me, or is it a life lived for the divine work? No, and only I would know, only I would be able to get the right answer. Where is it coming from? Only I can be honest about knowing the response. No one else can do it for me. And that's why we say it's a alone path. So this inward journey is a lone journey. I may show something off unknowingly, but inward journey is my own journey. People may think that I am a very realized person, but what is happening inside me, only I would know. And I think that's where the honesty is needed, because this is so personal. The journey is so personal yet universal, that it's only our honesty and sincerity within our being that can carry us forward. Mother says again and again, sincerity. So although my whole being is in theory consecrated to thee, O Sublime Master, who art the life, the light and love in all things. So each breath is because of the divine presence. Am I aware of that? Many a times I'm demanding so much from the ego. The egoistic demands are so heavy on my head that I forget that I'm breathing. I totally lose the sense that, oh my God, I'm grateful that I'm alive. I'm grateful that I have hands that can move. I have limbs that can, function. I have a house on my head, a roof on my head. But we don't really care for these things that are taken usually for granted when the egoistic demands really play heavy on our head, because then the mind only wants that and that and that. So I still find it hard to carry out this consecration in detail. Again, very humbling, again and again in prayers, we might find very, very humbling lines from the mother. She is the divine mother herself, and she is saying, although I'm in theory consecrated, but I see that many a times I am not really doing the actions which can be totally said for, for you, for the divine. And that's the honesty we need. That's the honesty we need in our day-to-day life, if this is our calling, if this is our path. It has taken me several weeks to learn that the reason for this written meditation lies in the very fact of addressing it daily to thee. I think Jyotsna ji was already sharing that it makes a difference if it works for us. Again, many tools are provided by the mother, by other masters also. If this works for me, because many a times it may be that, imagine that a person is very devoted and the person has no limbs. Now he cannot be forced to write, right? So every person has a different tool. So many infinite number of tools are available for this union. Now, if I have the capacity to write, and if that is what resonates with me, can I make this a sacred, practice for my own self? If it helps me, for others, something else may help, of addressing, consciously addressing things to the divine, talking in communion with the divine. And why it happens, further mother shares that it's not that you don't know anything. You know, you are the knower of everything. You are inside and out of everything. It's just because mother also shares with sadhaks that when you tell me something, then you become conscious of that thing. It's not for me. No? So if you are saying, mother, take care of this tendency, it's bothering me again. So I am becoming aware of the tendency which plays out heavy in me. Mother knows everything. And the moment I become aware, becoming conscious of that particular thought pattern, emotional pattern, or whatever habit is really overruling me, overpowering me, then I reclaim my power of doing something about it. If unconsciously I'm driven by patterns, then I cannot do anything. I maybe have a juice or a rasa out of those patterns, and I don't even want to change that pattern. It gives me a high. But when I am bothered about that pattern, when it troubles me again and again, and I put it on a paper, I write it, or either, offer it to the divine, even in my head and heart, even that has the capacity to work. That mother, this tendency is coming up again and again, and I don't want to follow it. Mother, please, you take care of it. So this is, and then we refuse to follow the dictate of that tendency. It may be anger, it may be hate, jealousy, because all these unpleasant emotions are actually not innate to our nature. I think there is a reason why they are unpleasant. Because if they are very pleasant, I would not even feel an uneasiness. Jealousy, hate, anger, blame, feeling victimized, feeling suffocated, limited, unworthiness, all these are very unpleasant sensations. What is the reason of them being unpleasant? Because they are not innate to our nature. We can never be very happy and contented having those things in our, our area or our being. And that's why they call our attention. They call forward that, hey, give me attention. Something is wrong. You are in the hands of ego consciousness. You're in the grip of ego right now. So do not act when all these emotions are there. Stop, refuse to act when confusion is there, when delusion, ignorance is there, and you are able to recognize it. When I am aware of some jealousy there, some insecurity, fear, anxiety, helplessness, anything that is suffocating in nature, I must take a break and refuse to act unless I really calm myself down, because they are not coming from my true essence. And whatever is not coming out of my true essence, that will generate more and more karma. It will add on to my burdens in my life. So if I want to live a burden-free life, now becoming conscious, then I have to refuse to act when I am burning with anger. If I see a ripple of anger, if I see a ripple of approval, want of approval from the ego, I must take a break. So it requires for a slowness in life. I cannot just be very hectic paced and deal with all that, because it will continue to generate a lot of karma again and again, burdening me under its head. And whatever we become conscious of, whenever we take a conscious action from the depths of our nature, innate nature, true nature, then we cut off the karma. Then we are not adding on to the burden on our head. So that is the power of these confessions or communion with the divine, that we become in communion with our own higher self, because divine is not separate from us. We are in the God, we are in the Atman. We are not outside the divine. So as if we are communicating to the highest possible essence, which is again a part of us. We are entangled with it. And that's why we have a yearning for peace. That's why I have a yearning for progress and joy and lasting happiness. Why? Because it is part of my nature. It is my nature. So this part that Shweta was sharing, that for thou art thyself everything, but our artificial and exterior way of seeing and understanding, if it may be said so said, is foreign to thee, opposed to thy nature. Now imagine something like space. Now space is everywhere. Even if we look at our own body, the inside of our body, the inside of our body also is drenched with space. If not for space, the organs cannot exist. Now the view space would have of everything, the whole existence or the manifestation, that is not the view my limited vision, the eyes may have. Because space is everywhere. Space has a different perception. A view is absolutely different. It feels a oneness with the whole existence. But when I look with my mortal eyes, which are very limited, when I look with my mortal mind, the limited part of the mind, then I have a very, very limited understanding of the whole creation, my own life, and all the things that are there. So I feel I could relate it with that when it comes to the antaryami, omniscient, omnipresent, the divine himself, herself, our limited way, mortal way of seeing is extremely opposed to thy nature, because you are one with everything. But I, in my limited consciousness, I am not one with everything. I have still hate. I still am jealous. And the very fact that I am jealous tells me that I feel that there is somebody other than me whom I should be jealous of. Yeah. And that creates the ignorance. That is the falsehood. That is the ignorance, the veil of ignorance. But the divine is not in ignorance. The higher self is not in ignorance. Our true nature is not in ignorance. Yeah. So that is what I felt, that I could relate this, that the divine's way is a larger way of seeing. He has the whole picture, total picture in his view, but our limited understanding is totally opposed to that way of seeing. It's a very shallow, surface kind of a seeing. We judge, the moment something happens. Imagine the disease happens to me. How I will see, oh my God, I must have done something bad. What have I done? Maybe, I'm getting punished. So this is how we see. But the divine does not see like that. The divine has the larger plan and picture, that maybe something had to be, kind of experienced. And that's why this thing is there. I may have lessons to learn through this whole process. So that's the higher view or a larger view, one can say. Still,
Thank you.
yes, yeah. Thank you for asking, Shweta. Still, by turning towards thee, by immersing myself in thy light at the moment when I consider these things, little by little I shall see them more like what they really are. I think this is the power of meditation and contemplation. This is the power of spending absolutely quiet inward times with ourselves, because there only we get in touch with a different kind of a light, which is our own light, but which we are not in touch with because of our surface outer, always engagement at the outer level. The senses throw us away again and again at the outer level. Yeah. So when we commune with the higher, with the divine within our being, we get a new perspective on the same thing. It happens naturally. So that's why we say the guru is inside. The light, Buddha said, Appa Deepo Bhav, you become your own light. There is no other light. Even the light that you see in your master, why do you think you are able to recognize that light? Because there is a light in you which recognizes the light in the other person or the master or the guru. So it's that light which is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, with which we have to increase our communion more and more, because it's never going to be enough. Never ever going to be enough. Such is the infinity of this journey. So little by little, I shall see them more like what they are. What we say, seeing actually seeing the way things are. Because when we see things, we don't even realize that I am looking at things. For example, there is snow right in front of you, and you don't even realize that you're looking with your pink colored goggles at snow, and you are wondering, oh, why is snow pink? Oh, maybe this is how. And then you are arguing with the other person. No, I saw pink snow. I saw pink snow. The other person is saying, no, it's blue in color. So all of us are so prejudiced, so opinionated, that we don't even know that we are colored. So how to see things the way they are? Here Mother says, more like what they really are. So the one thing that helps is always to question yourself. Never really take oneself for absolute, that yes, jo maine keh diya, that is the absolute. I think that really helps us, grounds us, that yes, what I see is maybe this, but I'm sure there is more to it, what I cannot see right now. And there, the moment we ground ourselves, we see that something more opens up. So always there would be something more that would open up. And then I'll become, maybe I will go more closer to shedding our goggles and seeing the snow for really what it is, like absolute, white and wet and moist and soft, and the true nature of snow. Maybe I become a little closer to that. So seeing things what they really are, and that is our I would say that is the root of all delusion, that we are not able to see things as they really are in our own ignorance, by seeing things by our limited mind, and seeing that yes, this is what it is, taking it as absolute truth, and not even doubting it, not even questioning it. And that's what keeps us away from seeing them as they really are, the true nature of things. Until the day when, I think Chitraji was commenting on it or sharing this part, until the day when, having made myself one in identity with thee, I shall no more have anything to say to thee, for then I shall be thou. This is reference to our Buddha nature. When you become one with your Buddha nature. We are all potential Buddhas, but that's only a potential. I cannot say that I do not have to put effort. I have to put a lot of effort before I become effortlessly my own true self, which is the radiant nature, the divine presence. So a lot of effort is required. And only then one can say, I'm one in an identity with thee. And one doesn't even need to say. You become almost, like childlike. It just happens. But there is a lot of effort, lifetimes of effort, which is required to realize our true Buddha nature. So we must not think that, hey, I have got it now. The moment I think I have got it, I've actually lost it. So that's the signal almost. This is the goal that I would reach. So Mother is giving herself a very difficult goal, very difficult goal. And obviously she knows that that is the only possible use of this existence. This is the goal that I would reach. Towards this victory, all my efforts will tend more and more. I aspire for the day when I can no longer say I, for I shall be thou. So there is no separation at all. There is no demand or expectation of the ego from this life. The life is a divine life. It's a life lived for the divine. I have nothing more to want from the life. And that's where we can say, use this couplet from Rahim, Chaha gayi chinta miti, manwa beparwa, jinko kuch nahi chahiye, wo shahan ka shah. So who is the true king? A true king is the one who does not have any personal ambition, agenda, or anything left for his life. And yet he is a bright, alive person, living a life for the divine. That's what our true aim as a human being is. And yet Mother says that what really happens when we come to practice of it, what really happens. So she recognizes this fallacy or the failures of the human existence by herself plunging into this. She realizes, and then also gives all of us the way out. How many times a day still I act without my action being consecrated to thee. So we see that so many times in the day, as you all were sharing, we act, I think Aspriya was touching upon it, that we are very frivolously in fun kind of a manner, in scattered consciousness. It's a kind of a dispersed surface consciousness in which I am. It's a very light kind of a thing, very funny. Also, there is a lightness about it. But the moment I sense this emptiness inside me, I become aware of maybe there is something more I am to do with this life, and not just this frivolity of life. There is something more. Otherwise, I would not feel that emptiness. So that emptiness, I think if we can pay attention to that emptiness, that is the, I would say, the guiding light, which can take us further and further in a proper direction, our life, and really make something good out of this human existence. At once, I become aware of it by an indefinable uneasiness. So can we be aware of this uneasiness? Because whenever we act out of ego consciousness, egoistic consciousness, we sense this suffocation and uneasiness, that maybe I should not have really said that. Maybe I did not need to go out with, that party with which I used to hang out earlier, but now I feel that my calling is something different. Maybe I want more silent time, or maybe more contemplative. I don't know. I'm just kind of, bringing it out. So something more, something different, maybe the life is calling for. And uneasiness is the signal that we get from the calling from within, that maybe this is not the right thing for me. Which is translated in the sensibility of my body by a pang in my heart. I'm sure all of us have felt that. I have felt that personally many, many times. Whenever, the ego consciousness grips, it's so full of suffering. And in that pang, maybe many a times we don't even realize that we can just shed it off. But many a times we are in that consciousness, more and more the divine consciousness, openness, that the moment it happens or it begins to happen, I can just shed it off, know that it is not the way for me to go. Just shed that egoistic demand off. Do not follow the dictate. And then we see that the pang dissolves. The pang does not continue. But if the pang is continuing, definitely I'm clinging to something. I'm definitely attaching myself to something. Only attachment is the cause of suffering. So some image, some insecurity, some demand from life, something or the other I am again clinging to. I then so what is the solution? Now mother is plunging herself into this consciousness so that she can provide us with the right kind of solution or the guidance. I then make my action objective to myself. So I kind of detach myself from the action. And it seems to me ridiculous. Oh my God, how could I fall a trap again to that? It seems to me ridiculous, blameworthy. So imagine that I am expecting something from a situation or a person. Now, the moment I make it a little detached, I realize, oh my God, I am again demanding my happiness from an external situation. And this is so deplorable and childish, because no person, no situation in my life can give me happiness. I am the one responsible for my own happiness. And again, we do attach to people and life situations for our happiness, and we suffer. So the moment I make it objective, I realize that it's maybe ridiculous. I've fallen into trap again. Maybe I can laugh about it, and I deplore it for a moment. That, oh my God, I did fall for it again. Then what is the solution? Mother says, I dive into in deep depths of our heart. We go and find our solace. Maybe early in the morning when nobody is up, or maybe late at night when you're not yet slept and others have slept. Absolute silence. Can we make use of those few hours or minutes, and dive into the plunges of our heart? There lies the true medicine, the panacea of all the ills. I dive into thee, and there, losing myself with a child's confidence, await from thee the inspiration and strength needed to set right the error in me. Why did I fall for the trap again? Maybe there was some weakness, maybe there was some attachment that needed to come to my own consciousness I was not aware of. So just correct that error, see it that yes, this was my weakness, but it need not remain my weakness. I don't have to nurture my weaknesses. I just have to recognize it and just kind of let it go and give all of myself to the divine again and expect nothing in return from the world. I think that's where we come to the consciousness of, like a true servant of the divine, or what we also call, in Buddhist tradition, we also call bodhisattva or bodhichitta, that you are giving yourself for the divine, you are living for the divine. So again and again, I think we have to remind ourselves, because we keep on forgetting, we fall into the grip of ego consciousness, and we realize it by suffering heavily, that yes, I am in the grip again. So I set right the error, I let go of that demand, I let go of that attachment, I only demand from the divine whatever I need in my life. Only divine will answer all the needs. I will be provided whatever I will be requiring on the journey. I will be provided all that. Set right the error in me and around me. Now mother is again, my mother is dissolving the dualities. Now the duality is, you are different, I am different. The external life is different, I am different. And there is something else I want from you. So I'm creating a separation. Mother is dissolving that duality. That no, I may be different in the body, but even if you look at the subatomic level, like the part level of, going deeper into the atomic level, we see that there is no really a border to our body. There is no border. It just appears to be a border to the body. But all the particles, subatomic particles, are halfway, we have particle in nature. The moment I see it, it becomes a wave. So it's not even like, I cannot even grasp it. How can I say that this body I take for so granted is kind of a, the solidity is so real that I can separate myself from the other person. So mother dissolves that duality, and then when I know that the body is only a outer kind of a veil, it makes it appear that we are different, but we are not different. Then how can I look at life in a different way, that whatever error I see outside, that is something that I need to correct within my own being. So if I'm feeling that a person is not really working rightly, mother says only two things you can do. Either you help the person to do the thing rightly, or you take it as your own growth. Don't keep on complaining about, because that just feeds the ego. And that, oh my God, look at that ordinary consciousness. I am evolved, and look at that person that is not evolved person. What would happen to these people in my life? So that's just the feeding of the ego consciousness. So can I use all that is happening externally as a path to my inner progress? I think then so much energy is kind of saved from getting wasted, that I don't have anything to blame for. I cannot even complain about anything. That really makes life very, very simple. That everything that happens in life, I take it as a means to progress, or I forget about it if it's not necessary. So two things that are one, essential oneness of our existence, mother is pointing to. For I have now a constant and precise perception of the universal unity, determining an absolute interdependence of all actions. Everything is related. If I make an error in my being, it sends out a ripple, and that error will be replicated in somebody else's being. If I correct an error in my own being, if I overcome a desire in my own being, that also sends a ripple out, and somebody else may get helped to overcome a desire. Such is the beauty of this inner work. So you are doing it secretly, nobody else is getting to know, and yet you are a social worker, yet you are making a difference. Even in sitting at your own home, in your own, hiding places, doing inner work within yourself, that itself is so much of a service we don't even know. Such is the power of this silent personal work. So not all of us have to, really kind of, everybody has a different calling. So not everybody is a kind of an extrovert person. People are they want their own inner space and have their own inner silent work going on. So it can be done anywhere, absolutely, totally independent of the external circumstances. Such is the beauty. One anger overcome, here it helps another being overcome the same field of anger. The world of anger is the same, it's the vital force. Maybe another one gets help from your own effort. So this is where we should put all the effort and make our life really truly worthwhile, and cut off all the excessive baggage that we are carrying, by becoming more and more conscious of our inner movements. And I think only then, walking on this path, can we make truly a march on what Sri Aurobindo and Mother talk about, a life divine, which is possible. We don't have to live in suffering all the time. It is possible to have a beautiful life here itself, living in this human body. Yeah. So anything else? Any more reflections or insights? I think Mother also indirectly is hinting at the opening of our heart, opening ourselves fully, going to the depths of our heart and living from there, living from the depths, rather than having just a surface life all the time, which never can satisfy anyone. It can never, no surface life can fulfill anyone. That's how we are made. Only divine can fulfill us. Only a true life, a life lived from the depths of our heart, can fulfill us. Such is the commonality between all of us. Yeah, anything else? Anyone, any reflections?
Dr. Monica wonderfully said many of the things.
Yeah.
Just one point which has always helped me during my journey is the conversation. Conversation with her, even everything we can convey everything, and if it is clear, if we are clear in our conversation, we know what we are telling her, we get the solution, and at times it is immediate. You feel a certain certain burden is going out from you when you speak everything, even my mistakes. So that conversation really helps, whatever way, whatever we have done, even asking for help if I'm in trouble, even when I am not finding actually my way out. I have committed mistakes, committed errors, I want to get out of it. Then also, if I open myself completely, I get the solution and direction. And the solution already she has given here. Little by little, I shall see them more like what they really are. Once that channel of communication is open, we'll see the true nature of things. I have not come to that point where actually I have made myself one in identity with thee. It's a long way to go, but at least we'll be able to know actually what they really are when that channel of communication is open with her. And it is a fact that immediately that we feel that pang whenever we commit anything that is that doesn't conform to our consecration. So that's my take.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rashmi. Absolutely. I think this communion is what is, first of all, as you were sharing, I think earlier, Jyotsna ji, Chitra ji were also sharing, that it's absolutely, first of all, indispensable, And it also helps us make a very intimate relationship with our own self. This communion and the silent communion that happens. At times we may use words, at time in just feelings we may communicate. So absolutely indispensable on this path. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And we do get answers. All of us know that whenever we are not only whenever we are feeling stuck, but especially when we are feeling stuck, we need a way out, and we have faith that something will be shown. It's just a matter of like a call away. Like divine is just a call away, and something or the other happens which shows us the right way to follow or gives us some guidance to the path. So yeah, great. Anyone else? Anything to add on?
Yeah, I will read those lines from
Yes.
Synthesis of Your. Yeah.
Sure.
It is from the chapter Self-Consecration. Our whole being, soul, mind, sense, heart, will, life, body must consecrate all its energies so entirely and in such a way that it shall become a fit vehicle for the divine. And the next few lines, and everything in us is constantly to be called back to the central faith and will and vision. Every thought and impulse has to be reminded in the language of the Upanishad that that is the divine Brahman and not this which men here adore. Every vital fiber has to be persuaded to accept an entire renunciation of all that hitherto represented to it its own existence. Mind has to cease to be mind and become brilliant with something beyond it. Life has to change into a thing vast and calm and intense and powerful that can no longer recognize its old, blind, eager, narrow self of petty impulse and desire. Even the body has to submit to a mutation and be no longer the clamorous animal or the impeding clod it now is, but become instead a conscious servant and radiant instrument and living form of the Spirit.
Yeah, beautiful, very powerful. Which chapter is this?
This is self-consecration.
Self-consecration.
Yeah.
The synthesis of the yoga.
Chapter 2, yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Jyotsna Di, you were wanting to share something?
We would gaya.
Bhul gaya.
Ho gaya.
Okay, if it comes, you share.
Water took it.
Okay. Yeah, anyone else? Anything more? Okay, great. So, thank you everyone for joining in, sharing your reflections, and yeah, let us move on and on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Beautiful, Monica. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Monica.
Thank you.